Hello, wonderful little gay people in my phone, and welcome back to my chronic daily mind spirals. My name is Nia, also known as @BitNia, and today, in Chronically Online Lesbian Land, I want to talk about pop girls. Fun fact about me, aside from niche, nuanced, pseudo-intellectual debates about queerness, intersectionality, and growing social unrest disguised as ironic text posts, my Twitter feed is also run amok with cultural hot takes about the pop girls. And honestly, the through lines between sociopolitics and pop culture are incredibly evident, but let's break it down. Who is the pop girl? Because while the term pop is an abbreviation of popular, i.e. popular music, there's obviously connotations that expand beyond and outside of that framework. To me, a pop girl is a singer, dancer, and performer whose work is rooted in femininity, performance, artistry, and some addictive motherfucking choruses. And I don't think being acclaimed worldwide, or in other words, popular, though what the real implication is mainstream, is required to be a music artist whose art meets those ends. Someone who immediately comes to mind is Adela, a Slovakian singer, dancer, and artist who debuted less than a year ago now. 500,000 followers and not yet breaking into the Billboard Hot 100, she's not yet mainstream, but she is definitely doing the damn thing. Choreo on, vocals on, but I think the main definitive trait for a pop artist to me is perspective. This is something Charli XCX has discussed and prided herself on for years.
Artistry is important, and some artists don't have artistry.
Some artists don't have artistry.
For me, it's like music alone is just not giving me the world. Like, I need an artist to create the world.
The world building.
A great artist to me is more than the songs. It's the entire culture and space that they inhabit.
Charli XCX, who rose to mainstream acclaim after about a decade in the industry with her hit album Brat, is not notably a vocalist or a dancer, but she is an artist. What defines her work and what I think helped make Brat so potent is that it wasn't just an album. It was a cultural movement, a dance, a meme, an aesthetic, a vibe. She created a moment in culture which in turn allowed her album to be its natural score.
How'd you come up with Brat Green?
It's so funny, it's called Brat Green now.
She hit the jargon on what the culture was craving, and she didn't just deliver, she gave us something we didn't even know we wanted. All that to say, there's levels to the game, and I think that's what makes pop so fascinating. I've seen these Venn diagrams on Twitter recently that attempt to synthesize what pop girls belong to each category, who's a vocalist, who's a songwriter, who's a performer, and who's the whole damn salad, etc., etc. And I love that. I love going to different girls for different things. I love having a specific lane that an artist excels in and watching how they mold their craft around that or introduce new elements. I love the idea of an artist having an era, each album being not just a collection of songs, but an aesthetic, a color palette, a moment in culture. I love that pop is almost bigger than music. Pop girls are cultural innovators, trendsetters. They help contextualize and define the times. It's also been recently noted, we're coming out of a pop girl recession. In the late 2010s and early 2020s, it was motherfucking sad girl hours. Notably, this was a time period plagued by the first Trump administration and promptly followed by the COVID-19 pandemic. And the dominant art and breakout pop girls of the time definitely somewhat reflect that somber tone. It was Billie Eilish Ocean Eyes, Olivia Rodrigo Driver's License. The charts were topped with heartbreaking ballads and emotional accompanying visuals. There was no longer rah 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 ah ah. Closest we had was Why Don't You Say So.
It's been a long time since you.
But I'd say we're in the midst of a renaissance gaze. Pop is back with a force. We have new pop girls on the scene, not just chart topping, but culturally influencing. A Sabrina Carpenter, a Tate McRae, a Chappell Roan, and while with them we're seeing a branded artistry and truly pop celebrity aura that hasn't been this commonly culturally celebrated in a couple years, I think nothing evidences performance pop's renaissance more than the return of the girl group. Yes, this whole video intro was a psyop to get you to sit through my meanderings about my cat's eye obsession. Surprise. Hi gay! A brief interruption from the video for a word from our sponsor, Aura. So if you found yourself in my little corner of the internet, chances are you may be chronically online. And as beautiful as our powerful little niche community is, it also makes us that much more vulnerable to our personal information and data ending up on a much less fun side of the internet. Because there are billion-dollar data broker companies that are selling your personal information without your consent and letting scammers, stalkers, and literal randos buy it. It's commonplace for every app we use to be harvesting our data, and the only alternative really is going completely off the grid. But luckily, Aura provides a solution. Aura finds the data broker sites that are selling your info, automatically removes it, and keeps it off. And there are other services that do this, but Aura gives you your bang for your buck. Aura gives you dark web alerts, real-time credit and bank fraud notifications, 24/7 identity monitoring, a VPN, antivirus, password manager, US-based support, plus $5 million in identity theft insurance. With how common hacking, doxing, and identity theft are, it is really terrifying knowing your information is just floating around out there. So you can try Aura free for 14 days at aura.com/bitnia, and in those 2 weeks, they will already be scrubbing your data off the internet. Take control of your data and keep scrolling safely. Thanks so much to Aura for sponsoring today's video. But for real, the girl group Western market was chopped up boots. 2000s, we were getting the Tastemakers, the Blueprints, Destiny's Child, Spice Girls, TLC. I'd even count a Cheetah Girls. Even though they were somewhat fictional, they did make bangers, to be honest. In the mid-2010s, we got Little Mix, though they never did fully break into the US market to the displeasure of many, notably me, because I had a deep and potent Little Mix phase about 6 months ago, and there's really nowhere to put that now. Thus, we had the attempt at their natural US equal, Fifth Harmony, which in my humble opinion pales in comparison to Little Mix, because Little Mix was really about 4 girls with a shared dream coming together to sing songs and promote girl boss feminism. And Fifth Harmony sometimes felt like 5 girls coming together because, well, fuck it, this is the best chance we got, let's sign the contract, you know? And both groups had bangers and definitely received acclaim, but clearly the market was feeling a bit of tension and fear of oversaturating itself. However, cut to 2025, and we have girl groups coming out the wazoo. Cat's Eye, Flow, Say Now, Frequency, Girl Set, and I'm so tapped in. I'm obsessed. It's giving choreo, it's giving vocals, it's giving styling, it's giving taste making, and that is pop. But all of that being said, we have some more veteran pop girls also recently dropping music, but amidst a backdrop where pop is now dominant, potent, albeit competitive, but creative as ever. Our veterans all seem off. Ariana wants to prioritize acting and seems somewhat hesitant even in the press regarding her upcoming mini tour.
I don't think doing it at the rate that I've been doing it for the past 10 years is where I see the next 10 years.
Good for you.
And I don't want to say any definitive things. Like, I do know that I'm very excited to do this small tour, but I think it might not happen again for a long time.
Selena says she'll most likely never perform at an award show again.
I think I did one performance where I thought I looked like a pop star. And I remember thinking, actually, all of that looks so awkward because it couldn't have been the opposite of, you know, who I am. But it is. It's performative. And I'm not sure that's something I'm willing to entertain again.
Demi's rebrand feels forced.
So when I found out that Jimmy John's Pickle Witch was making a comeback, I thought to myself, so glad I'm not the only one. Every era's taught me something. Like that one time I was at summer camp and my knees kept giving in. Now an iconic move for an entire generation.
And Taylor is fine. I don't know. Frankly, I'm just not going to talk about Taylor Swift online before I get back on my SSRIs. All this to say, as we have this new generation of artists breaking into, redefining, and reinvigorating this industry and space, what does it say that the artists who most likely inspired them growing up are all kind of really fucking traumatized? It is currently late 2025, so you cannot go anywhere, do anything, or essentially exist online without seeing something regarding the release of Wicked for Good, the second and final chapter in the Wicked movie musical starring, of course, Ariana Grande as Glinda the Good Witch. Now, Ariana Grande has had an exceptional chart-topping, award-winning career while simultaneously having an incredibly tumultuous time in the public eye as it relates to her personal life. In 2017, a suicide bomber detonated an explosive following her concert that killed 22 and injured 64.
How did you overcome all of that and get back on stage?
Well, I think just looking at my fans and the way that they responded to it, and like, of course, the city of Manchester and how they responded to it with so much like unity and strength and love and like fearlessness, and I just never really seen anything like it.
In 2018, her on and off boyfriend and fellow musician Mac Miller passed away unexpectedly, and shortly after that, her engagement with comedian Pete Davidson was called off.
I'm sorry, I'm falling apart. Yeah, like, the lyrics can be kind of corny when I talk about, like, wanting to hug you and stuff, but, like, I really do.
In 2021, she got married to real estate broker Don Gomez, but the pair separated in 2023. And in 2024, she was widely critiqued for a new relationship with actor and Wicked co-star Ethan Slater, who she'd met and been acquainted with whilst both were in relationships with other people, leading to a slew of homewrecker allegations. In recent months, she's been criticized for her friendship with Wicked co-star Cynthia Erivo due to a slew of interactions viewers found odd while doing press for Wicked.
Yeah.
Why am I feeling emotional about that?
Because it's true.
Like me, who find refuge in the witches, and
I'm not even gonna lie to you, y'all. I'm an Ariana Grande truther. They low-key can never make me hate her. Because if all of that happened to me, and the worst thing the public could say about me is that I home wreck, and I'm kind of weird, that's a win. I get all the intrigue though, especially considering another major critique of her is the way her style and the way she speaks in interviews has evolved over the years. She's been accused of blackfishing, Asian fishing, and returning to a meek whiteness once it served her more in her Glinda era. And I hear all that.
Kiyomi, get your ass in here. Kiyomi. Come on, girl.
And I could see in her eyes that she was giggling, and it was just the best thing.
And it is weird. And I'm not defending it. My point is just a bit broader than that. I can see the criticisms because Ariana Grande is a superstar. The space she takes up by virtue of her success culturally means we as consumers are allowed to vapidly consume and critique her. She's come online many a time, requesting her audience stop commenting on her body, her relationships, her mental health, and that's valid for her.
I think we should be gentler and less comfortable commenting on people's bodies, no matter what. If you think you're saying something good or well-intentioned, whatever it is, healthy, unhealthy, big, small, this, that, sexy, not sexy, we just shouldn't.
But the reality as I see it is that Ariana Grande the superstar and Ariana Grande the person are not one and the same. And this is true generally for really all public figures, but I find Ariana to be a notable example because of the amount of severely traumatic and fucked up things she's gone through incredibly publicly in tandem with the astronomical success of her work and brand. The trade-off of celebrity is privacy for privilege. It's the opportunity to have immense wealth and access and opportunities most people could never even dream of, but at the expense of your humanity in many ways. Your personal life becomes product. Everything about you, everything you touch, every thought you have can be exploited for profit when you reach that level of celebrity. It's the great catch-22. I didn't feel super strongly about Ariana Grande until 2024, to be honest. Like, that Eternal Sunshine album dropped and I was like, wow, this is my long-lost sister, actually. Prior to that, I knew the hits from her previous albums, but I'd never listened to any all the way through, never considered seeing her on tour. I was a casual listener. And so I do understand, despite the fact I do personally like Ariana Grande now, what it means to passively consume all these things about her, or really anyone, in a way that is about entertainment, distraction, the cultural fixture of celebrity. However, as I've gotten more interested in her art, her history, and her over a decade-and-a-half long career, it's become difficult not to empathize with her. Not to see a woman who's been through some really fucked up shit, and from the looks of it, really tried to make the best of it.
Maybe it's because, like, PTSD or whatever, but I love so much. I'm so grateful to feel so much. You know, we should be able to be happy and it not be, like, corny or cringe or classified as, like, something like that. Being passionate about something, loving people, being happy about something, being excited about something, that's the best. What? You want me to be sitting here numb? Been there.
I actually think that's the difference between a fan and a stan. A fan enjoys the art. A stan sees the person, or at least feels or perhaps imagines they do. Obviously, my projections onto Ariana Grande are my own, and my own nuanced views about why she does what she does and what I think she deserves grace for, etc., etc., say way more about me and my feelings about persecution, exoneration, redemption, toxicity even, culturally, than they do actually about Ariana Grande as a person, because famously, I don't know Ariana Grande. But that parasociality can sometimes stand in for the humanity that's often lacking when it comes to public figures, and that's why pop girls need their stans. In a similar vein, we have Selena Gomez, who apart from a series of both musical and acting accolades, is most notably known as one of my first gay crushes growing up.
Some blue going on.
Where's that inspiration coming from?
I don't know. I like a little edge and a little pop in my hair, so I wanted to add something different, especially for the Teen Vogue party.
Despite having a vibrant three-dimensional career, the most potent and elongated public narrative that surrounds her is her on and off 8-year relationship with Justin Bieber from 2010 to 2018.
Hi, James. What's going on where you are?
And Justin are not together, but it's also got to be very difficult when you've had such a public relationship and you guys are all over the place and there's everybody talking about it. How do you maintain friendships with someone that's an ex? How do you do that?
That's because he and I have had such a history together, and I'll always care about him and protect him if anybody tries to be mean.
She was all that mattered in my life. Now, is this a real story? Like, you was in a great relationship for real?
This is true.
Really, though? Is that with SG? Or?
It really was.
Now, I remember last time you were here, you were with Justin Bieber. And
I was with a Justin Bieber?
Well, I'm never going to stop loving her. I'm never going to stop checking in on her.
Notably, Selena and Justin also broke up officially in 2018, and he got engaged and quickly married to Hailey.
As a woman, I would never want to get into a relationship with someone and be engaged to them and be getting married to them and think in the back of my mind, I wonder, like, if that was really, like, closed for you, and, like, and I know for a fact that the reason we were able to get back together was because it was very much completely closed.
2018 was fucking crazy. I miss when celebrities used to tweet. Now, if you've ever gone down that damn Jelena versus Jaylee hole, you know there's a lot there. It's a dark, dark, bottomless pit in there for real. It's an addictive little community full of some bitter-ass bitches who could probably solve global mysteries if given the tools. There are many, many videos out there if you want to learn more, because I can't. But essentially the narrative is Hailey is obsessed with Justin and basically plotted on him since childhood and weaseled her way into his heart by essentially trying to wear Selena's skin. Or inversely, that Selena is a bitter bitch who can't get over Justin and constantly provokes or jabs at Hailey or Justin online. It's a crazy tale that is undoubtedly far more complicated than what the public's been able to muster together, but regardless, it's compelling as fuck. These big celebrity love triangle drama thingies are juicy, and in the most high profile of cases, they're also very profitable. Think of Deja Vu by Olivia Rodrigo. Great song. But did the whole Joshua Bassett, Sabrina Carpenter love triangle debacle not just make it that much more addictive? Make you maybe listen to the song a couple more times, search up the lyrics, raising its traction in the Google algorithm? Pop culture girlies, such as myself, love mess. And when some of that mess ends up in the art, when we can get that extra piece of info, of context, of story from our artist obsession, we're a bit more prone to buy in. And naturally, we're intrigued by these people's personal lives in the first place because, well, they are famous artists, so they put it in their art, and we buy it because either it's good or we're fucking nosy. And that seems to be a pretty consistent cycle with artists of this gravity, who've also notably been super famous for so long. Not me literally saying life imitates art, but like, yes, it does.
Different way than songwriting and writing about my own pain, because it's just kind of like constantly reliving that one thing that you wrote the song about, or that is, you know, and finding a character and putting the pieces there. I think it's a lot better for me.
Yeah. But there's a secret third noun in that phrase, and it's money. And from gotta keep an eye out from Selena to I needed to lose you to love me, back and forth for 8 years, Selena and Justin definitely both suffered and profited their fair share, respectively. Nonetheless, when it comes to Selena Gomez, she recently released her first studio album in over 5 years, I Said I Love You First, in collaboration with her now husband, producer Benny Blanco, and has re-entered the public eye in a more vocal way to promote her new release. And through those interviews, I noticed a similar hesitation, a similar shift in the way she talks about artistry versus industry, how she feels about the machine of it all, that rang similar bells to a lot of the stuff Ariana Grande's been saying recently.
I feel the connection is so strong when I'm on stage, and I can actually feel the power of what my music stands for. And I don't know about award shows or any sort of shows. That's always very too vulnerable. It's also just not everyone's there to support what you're doing. There's a different feeling when you're on stage, and everyone
very performative.
It is, and sometimes I'm not good at that. I can act-ish, but I'm also like not good at faking when I'm on stage.
Which rang bells in my brain to Ariana saying she wasn't thinking about a tour for Eternal Sunshine when it came out in 2024.
You gonna tour this album?
TBD. I love being on stage. I miss being on stage. I miss my fans so much. I had a really hard time emotionally on my last tour, but I think that's because of where I was at.
Totally.
So just like with music, I think I'm really excited to redefine my relationship to shows when I'm ready.
I feel like the guy with the red string, but I feel like the through line is apparent, especially when you look into some of the things Selena Gomez has struggled with publicly. She's been in residential mental health treatment facilities 3 times in 2014, 2016, and 2018 respectively. She's talked openly about being diagnosed with bipolar disorder, anxiety, and depression. She's also spoken about going through psychosis and having suicidal thoughts.
I have a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want to go to a mental health hospital. I didn't want to, but I didn't want to be trapped in myself and my mind anymore. I thought my life was over. I was like, this is how I'm gonna be forever.
This is clearly a deeply talented, accomplished, successful woman who's been in this relationship, revered and critiqued and picked apart for nearly a decade by the mainstream media, her fans, and Justin's fans, some of which hated her off principle. She created some bops about it, as did he, and now she is literally the most followed woman on the app, Instagram. But also, clearly, the journey was not easy, nor was it simple. But luckily, it appears she's come out on the other side with resolve, peace, and the goal to just make art more than money.
The interpretation is going to be up to the audience. However, I would like to say most of this album has nothing to do with what everyone may go to. And I think it's important for me to say that because I've evolved so much and I have experienced life with new people. I've had to go through transitions with friends and lose people in my life and gain new people, and I've had a whole new life forever. My life, I'm grateful, not at all sad. My life wasn't easy, but it same as anyone. It could be worse, it could be better. I think everybody has their own life and their own experiences, but it should all be acknowledged for what it is to each individual. And I hope that's what I can do while I'm here on this earth. I'll try to do the things that make me happy, but I'll equally try to do the things that make me feel like I have a right to be here in a way.
But also, to be fair, she don't really need money at this point, so catch-22. In that vein, I'm led to my final observational case study, Demi Lovato, who is similarly going on a renaissance of their own right now. Now, I watched Demi Lovato's 2021 documentary, Dancing with the Devil, for free on YouTube.com, and dare I say, it moved me. Obviously, similarly to all these other artists, I grew up with Demi, and I think her struggles with sobriety, mental health, and controversy in the public eye are well documented.
A lot of people ask me, like, do you have any regrets in life? And a lot of times I start to answer, like, yeah, I wish I didn't overdose because I have hearing impairment, I have vision impairment, and, like, that was just an awful thing to put my family and friends through. But I also have to, like, remember the importance of not living in the past and not having regrets for things.
Yeah.
So I try to remain positive and have, like, a healthy perspective on what happened to me.
I lost my virginity in a rape. I called that person back a month later and tried to make it right by being in control. And all it did was just make me feel worse.
Do you remember the first time that you cut yourself?
It hurt.
It's widely acknowledged and accepted that Demi has struggled with mental health and substance use for years, that at this point, she's adopted it into a focal point of her brand. She's made multiple documentaries chronicling her experiences, her healing journey, her understanding of herself and the world, and with a collection of chart-topping hits, a classic-ass Disney show and movie series under her belt, and an undeniable imprint on the cultural consciousness regardless of if they are actively working in it or not, it's apparent Demi Lovato is and forever will be an it girl. After Dancing with the Devil, I listened to the album and I enjoyed it a lot. That's the only Demi album I've listened to in full, other than Here We Go Again circa 2009, which my mom got me for Christmas when I was 7. But post Dancing with the Devil is when I tapped in adjacently, and the things they released after that pivoted and twisted and turned quite a bit. Then it was Holy Fuck in 2022, then Revamped in 2023, and then famously, It's Not That Deep in 2025. And all of those albums sonically and artistically take very different approaches. None lacked good songs, but her aesthetic as an artist lacked direction. And nowhere do I feel that's more evident than It's Not That Deep. And while listenable and enjoyable, absolutely feels like an opportunistic co-option of Brad. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that in general.
Siri P wants to know, any chance of a Charlie XCX collab?
I mean, I would gag. I would love that.
You would?
Yeah, definitely.
There are absolutely artists who play with genre, who play with style, who reinvent themselves in new eras. But with Demi, especially considering her public history, It's Not That Deep felt like grasping at straws.
Well, when I first started working on this album, I had just finished my rock album, Holy Fuck. And I originally had started writing music going into this album. I thought I was going to do another rock album. And I realized there's only so many rock songs that you can make about feeling happy. And so it was difficult to write a happy rock album. So I knew I wanted to pivot directions. And so I pivoted to a couple different genres, and then I landed on this fun dance pop album. But the preparation was similar to the past albums I've made. I have an idea of what I want to talk about and what I want to say with each album, and I just kind of chased that.
It felt calculated and practiced, and it's not something I fully resent because the music is really not bad. It felt like someone who is distinguishably a culture maker, shifting to submit to the dominant forces around her, succumbing to a culture that left her behind whilst ignoring the fact she helped fundamentally shape that culture in the first place, and she could do it again. Holy Fuck was famously a rock album, and culturally and sonically a really big creative risk for Demi with not the most payoff.
Holy Fuck, do you make this body of work for you or for others?
Oh, I made that for me.
I made that for me, you know, diving into rock music again was something that I was excited to do, that I hadn't done in a long time. And I knew that it wouldn't have the same, you know, rock music isn't on top of the charts. I knew that it wasn't going to have the same commercial success that maybe Sorry Not Sorry had. So I wasn't putting out music to top the charts. I was putting out music that felt right and authentic to me.
But it was good, and it was incredibly honest.
If you relate to this song, I'm so sorry. Nobody should be able to relate to this song. But if you do, I want you to know that you're seen, you're heard, and I love you. Finally, 29, funny just like you were at the time. Thought it was a teenage dream, just a fantasy, but was it yours or was it mine? 17, 29.
The most honest thing about It's Not That Deep is that Demi wants people to like it. I don't get the vibe she felt earnestly, creatively compelled to create it. It feels constructed. Nonetheless, the odd marketing campaign worked, and it was through these clean, sexy girl TikToks that I was influenced to listen to the album, but all of it left me feeling so confused, perturbed, unsettled maybe. It felt like a response to the culture instead of a reply to it. Does that make sense? And that's just not how I see Demi, especially because they're about to go on tour and their opening act is Adele, of all people. See how I brought that back around? A young artist who I really do feel is forging her own path and making her own statements, whilst also strategically having a finger on the pulse of the culture and market. Demi is granting her their reputation and access, but Adele is offering Demi her artistry and pulse. I love Demi as an artist. I find her compelling because she has something real to say and offer the world. But this album didn't feel like that. It felt like fun. And there's a place for fun, but it didn't feel like fun for the sake of fun. It felt like fun because Demi wanted to win. She got married, she got sober, and was like, I want to make music and I want to be a pop star again, so I'm going to get on TikTok and I'm going to reclaim my viral meme as a Halloween costume, and I'm going to listen to my 24-year-old intern get my Grammy boots. And that's real. But I also think it reverberates and embodies such a subtle discontent. I know damn well she wanted to make the fuck out of that rock album. That was what was in her heart. And It's Not That Deep gives, I'm gonna do commercial pop because, yeah, it'll be fun and get me what I want. There's a sadness to that, in my opinion. And I support her fully, as an artist and as a person, but there's an odd complex it perpetuates in regards to that line between artistry and capital, between commercialism and humanity. And audiences are becoming aware of it as ever. To circle back to my sisters, Cat's Eye, critiques, tweets, and whole video essays have been made about their origins. I found out about Cat's Eye from that fucking Netflix documentary Popstar Academy, which many hardcore stans have disavowed. For the unaware, Popstar Academy is a documentary that chronicles a group of young performers as they train for about a year and a half for the chance to compete in a survival show that the girls are unaware is even going to happen when they signed up, mind you, for the chance to be in what is now Cat's Eye. Cat's Eye parallels Little Mix in the sense there was some momentum formed from a reality television program, but X Factor, where Little Mix was formed, is a cable network singing competition show. Popstar Academy was a raw and potent follow doc about, to be really real, the exploitation of young girls' dreams.
I'll watch it again. I can't. I saw it once, never again. Honestly, like when I hear about it, I get a little. She does. Yeah. The documentary didn't even show how intense it was. To me, the documentary didn't even show a glimpse. Honestly, like 10% for yeah, maybe 10%. Not even less. Less. Like, and I feel like it's so easy to just like see clips and like build an opinion based off of that when really like they have no idea.
It's kind of a dark fucking documentary. It's a great documentary. And as someone who enjoys film and worked in premium documentary for a decent amount of time, it's a well-made documentary. And it did what it was meant to do, give the group notoriety. But I really did appreciate that they didn't let it be a fluff piece that makes everything look fun and dandy.
Brooklyn.
Wait, what does that mean? Wait, what does that mean? Wait, it doesn't say anything.
I think that means you're safe. You will not be receiving an invitation.
No.
Sorry.
No.
It's a survival show. You have to create that drama.
No,
you have to create that competition. It's entertainment.
Okay.
And
see what
this
happens
is what
when
the
you do
fans
that.
really want.
No, it's not.
The filmmaker's perspective is incredibly clear. This system is fucked, and the heart of the piece is these talented, driven young girls who want a chance to make their dream a reality. But watching something like that amidst the backdrop of seeing stars I know impacted and inspired both them and me to be disillusioned and disempowered by the industry and the positions they found themselves within it has brought me to such a feeling of cognitive dissonance. It's like watching these impassioned young artists walk into a lion's den. This video isn't meant to hold the music industry to account. I don't know shit about the music industry, but I do know about culture. And I know what it feels like to be a young woman figuring it out. And I can't imagine what it's like to want to be an artist and create and make a living off your art, and the only avenue being this exploitative, predatory, trading your soul for a check ass industry. It's fucked up. If you haven't watched the Cat's Eye documentary, I recommend it. Genuinely, ooh, my stomach. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
If you haven't watched the Cat's Eye documentary, I recommend it. Genuinely, as a piece of filmmaking, even if you don't care about Cat's Eye or music or performance, it is one of the most honest portrayals of the issues within the music industry I've ever seen. And I'm honestly shocked the execs who are prominently featured in the doc let it be put out. I can't imagine what they cut out, considering they were filming for about 2 years, but like, the execs definitely don't look good. It doesn't look like a cool, fun time. It looks grueling, harsh, and unethical at many, many points.
That's when it kind of started to feel like the program put us against each other. It felt just wrong.
But the draw of it, the story, is seeing how much these girls want it, how hard they'll work and fight for it. And it's beautiful, but also very sad. And I see Ariana, Selena, Demi in their eyes.
Also seeing ourselves really young. Realized the controversies after were like intense. It made us be able to handle things today, like literally whatever.
What a way to learn a lesson.
You know, I've been a specimen in a petri dish really since I was 16 or 17, you know, so I have heard it all. I've heard every version of it, of what's wrong with me, and then you fix it, and then it's wrong for different reasons.
I started working when I was 7, and I definitely sometimes wish that I could have had a different upbringing. Just not sure I should have been involved that young. It's just, for me, made me a bit guarded, harder to trust people. I have my close friends and...
So fame is a privilege, but it's also traumatic to people who, well, anybody. It can be traumatic to anybody, but specifically minors. And I think that it was interesting talking to the participants of the film because I noticed that there were chunks of memories that, or chunks of times that we all don't remember. And I think that's a direct response to trauma.
Young women who just have passion, have drive, have a vision, and are willing to work for it because they genuinely care about developing their craft. But whether they see it or not, are also making a decision that has irreparable consequences that are mostly completely out of their control. I don't say all this to say, oh, poor rich celebrities, that must be so hard, but I kind of do. I hold both beliefs in my hands at the same time. Like, celebrity is a privilege, but it is also exploitation. It is inherently dehumanizing. For capital, for success, for acclaim, you sacrifice your ability to be seen and treated like a three-dimensional human. You are a story, a headline, a facet of entertainment. Obviously, there's informed consent at this point. It's not right, it's not fair, and it's not human. As someone who grew up with Ariana, Selena, Demi, Miley, Taylor, who is now an adult, watching a younger generation, artist and fan alike, perpetuate and fulfill this cycle, it makes me uncomfortable, and I think many feel the same way. I love the craft so much, I love the art, but it's becoming painfully clear that the ends and the means are deeply at odds. Chappell Roan yelling at paparazzi on the red carpet, Sabrina Carpenter being belittled and denigrated post Olivia Rodrigo's driver's license, only to be switched up on once she that me espresso. We as consumers can't change the music industry, and it's not our responsibility, to be fair. You don't have to care, and that's not my goal with this video. It's just to empathize, to humanize. Wave a flag that without reason, this industry will not change. It will continue to exploit, contort, and dehumanize as it sees fit. And all we can do as consumers is be fucking mindful. Be cognizant that as much as we may think we know about celebrities, we truly know nothing. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all money. And I know many people know that, but I'd like to be a reminder to just sit with it, reckon with it. It's cyclical, and we're all complicit, our pop girls included. But we do not have to belittle people's bodies, relationships, and lifestyles for our own distraction just because we can. Just because they quote-unquote signed up for it. We're actually under no obligation to do that. Critique can be productive, feedback can be productive, and above all else, art is productive. But lines are being blurred and crossed constantly in the year of our Lord 2025. And it goes nowhere. There will be no place to fully exhaust and dissect it. It will just continue to destroy the artists we love. And without our artists, there is no culture. Pop is a celebration of femininity that is predicated on the subjugation of women. And it's not exclusively about feeling bad for these women, it's about realizing what you're participating in and perpetuating. Misogyny, capitalism, projection, and it's not your fault you're participating in it. You've been groomed to, as have I. But I hope this video stands as a reminder to be cognizant. Be more cognizant that you're seeing some crazy headline because someone wants money, and you'll read it and be engaged with it because you're probably stressed about money and want a distraction, and you'll consume art about it because we're all nosy, and there's very few consequences for us as people who don't have the immense privileges that come with celebrity status. But nonetheless, the desensitization and normalization of dehumanization isn't healthy. And it isn't productive, and genuinely isn't good for society as a whole. And that shouldn't be the cost of creating art. It's actually quite antithetical to it. All in all, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and most of all, comment. I love reading comments, and I think there's so much more to dissect in this vein, and I'd love your thoughts. Follow my Instagram, please. Continue being gay, and I'll talk to you guys soon.